Hey, I hope you're well. I want to tell you today about a post I saw on Reddit, and this guy took 25 plus interviews to land a Devops slash SRE slash platform engineer job this year, 2025. I thought I'd tell you about it. Now, you can go to Reddit r slash SRE. You should be able to find the post. I'm just going to paraphrase it. This way you can listen to it, and also because technically it's copyrighted, it's better if I paraphrase it, and I'll be able to summarize it anyway. But yeah, he had touch points, significant touch points with 25 different companies, and I believe that his experience is quite typical. The key here, if you don't know already, and by the way, this guy already had a job, so it's not like he'd been laid off, but if you're looking for a new job in this space, you need to be persistent. You need to accept that you're going to have some weird things happen to you. You're going to get a ton of rejection. It's not a judgment really on your abilities, your competence. There's so many stupid reasons why people are getting rejected these days. It's just crazy. You need to be persistent, just like this guy. He was interviewing in a pretty major European city in terms of tech. Not the worst, not the best. So I'll give you a flavor of his experience. I'm going to go through this real quick. So the first company, he cleared the recruiter screening, and then there was a technical round. He was rejected. They said, you need more experience on Terraform. What a strange thing to ask for. Terraform's not difficult. Even if you had gaps, you can learn. Another company, again, he got past the recruiter, and again, he was rejected in the tech round. They wanted more infra experience. Another company, this time much bigger company, he cleared some of the interviews, the telephone interviews, and I guess some other interviews. And they actually gave him an offer, but he declined it because the job wasn't in the city he was looking at. It was actually in another city, and they refused to move it to where he wanted to. So that's quite interesting. That was a big company. Another one, he again got past the recruiter, and then in a tech round, he got rejected. They want a specific Terraform experience, even though they said, you've got very good Kubernetes and Azure experience. It just doesn't make any sense to me. If someone is really good at Kubernetes, why would you reject them because they were insufficient in Terraform? It's not like they can't pick up Terraform. Terraform is not difficult. Another company, I've never heard of this one. The hiring manager thought he was overqualified. Interesting. I don't know what the title was. Another company, again he got past the recruiter. So this is a common theme here, and once you have practice, it's really not that difficult to get past the recruiter. They will try and shut you out, and sometimes they ask gotcha questions, but most of the time, don't overtalk. You can get through the recruiter round fairly easily. Then he went for an in-person interview with the hiring manager. He got rejected. They said that you just weren't the right fit for the tech stack of the work that they were doing. I mean, that's fair enough, right? Sometimes you're just not the right fit. They want a better fit. I don't know why they didn't read that off the resume, but it can happen that sometimes only face-to-face interview will reveal that. Another company he interviewed and rejected. They said he was too technical, and they wanted administrative experience with risk management as well. Weird. Now, this is a big bank, so yeah, that's kind of interesting. He was too technical, and that they wanted this other experience. I'm honestly never heard of that. I understand what they're saying, and I get that some of these big jobs, half the job or even 75% of the job is navigating the bureaucracy. So maybe he just didn't appear to have any soft skills. They said, look, technically you're great, but really you don't have what we're looking for. Another company, this is a neobank. He actually interviewed for a different position, a PO position. He got through 2 assessments. Don't know what those kind of assessments were. And then he was in almost the last round, the second to last round with the hiring manager. And he got rejected because he was up against another candidate who apparently had better experience or was a better fit for the role. Okay, that's fair enough, but if it's down to 2 and there's one more interview to go, why not just put them both through? I would have said. But fair enough. So if it's not fit, then I totally get that. If you're a company spending money, you wanna really get the right person. You don't want to have to compromise, and they don't have to compromise right now. Another company, again, he got past the recruiter screen, And he went into the office, met the co-founder and the tech lead. This must be a startup. And he had a 2-hour discussion regarding a problem on building an observability stack in enterprise. And he was waiting for more than a week for their decision, which it appears it just never came. I've had this, as you know, I'm looking for work right now, and I've had this, that people, they just forget about you. It's absolutely insane. Another company, this is a big one. He got rejected after the recruiter screening, so he didn't make it past recruitment this time. Apparently, they had other candidates with experience that they were looking for. I'm not really sure what that is. Another company, again, he got rejected at the recruiter screen, and no reason was given, but he thinks that perhaps the hiring manager wanted more experience or something like that, or closer fit. Another interview, a bank, he got past the recruiter, then he failed a tech round because they wanted better skills in Java and Python. Okay, a common theme now, that they want someone who's really good at programming, coding. Another company, looks like consulting, I'm not sure, got past the recruiter. He had a 1-hour tech round, but it actually ended up being 2 hours. I'm guessing this was an interview and not a test. He was rejected because he didn't have enough experience of Linux VMs and also limited Terraform experience, something like that. Okay, interesting. Not sure on this guy's background, by the way. Another company, a bank, he didn't get past the recruiter because the recruiter thought that they were unwilling to move to a particular country, different country this time. But apparently the person said, look, I'm willing to move. But the recruiter was like, well, I don't believe you. I mean, what can you do about that? They're not even listening to what you're saying. Anyway, another company, he looks like he had to do an assessment, and he submitted it, and then they ghosted him. No further communication. Another company, the recruiter rejected him because apparently the manager that the recruiter was screening for wanted someone with more experience in that particular vertical industry. So I guess the recruiter maybe didn't follow the instructions of the hiring manager, perhaps shouldn't have even interviewed the person in the first place, and they did anyway, and then it turned out, look, really you're not a fit. We need industry experience. Honestly, I think that's a bit silly to look for industry experience. I think that's going to be very, very hard to get. If it was banking, I understand that, the specific tech. But if it's just some random vertical, I'm looking here, it says energy industry. To me, there's nothing special about the energy industry that demands that you only hire people from that industry. I could be wrong, but I've seen roles working in the energy industry and they don't require anything special. Another company, he got past the recruiter and also the hiring manager / tech round. He was given a take-home assignment, and before he could send that back, they said the role is filled. Okay. Yeah. I mean, in the old days, this is how it used to be, first come, first served, and lately you don't see that so much. That they would, you think that they would want to see what you're going to submit, but maybe they weren't really into him, to be honest, that too much, and they really had their eyes on another candidate, and that's fair enough. Another company couldn't get past the assessment round, and there was questions on Terraform, Kubernetes, Linux. He doesn't know why he failed, so this is a company issuing some kind of quiz. Another company, he got rejected by the recruiter. This was another country as well, because it turned out that he would have to be sponsored. He required sponsorship and they weren't willing to do that, so some mix up there. Another company rejected by the recruiter because they were looking specifically for crypto blockchain exchange experience. Okay, I have seen this with crypto firms. Some of them are asking for, knowledge of Solidity and smart contracts and stuff like that. In my opinion, it's a bit over the top for a DevOps SRE platform role. I could understand if you wanted people who knew about how crypto generally works, what nodes are, but that's not hard to pick up. But when they start looking for smart contract programming knowledge, I mean, that's just ridiculous. They're not looking for developer. Well, they are, it seems, even though that's not what the job said, the description. Anyway, another one, I think it's consulting, I'm not sure. It says he cleared the recruiter screening, then he met with the hiring manager, and then they ghosted him. Another company, this kind of sort of tech company, I know this company, met the recruiter rejected him, and they preferred people who had some management experience. Okay, hopefully that was in the job description, I don't know, but nevertheless they were willing to speak with him. And I've had this as well many times. I've had talks with recruitment, and it's almost like they're willing to compromise to speak with you, but then after speaking with you they're like, nah, we really need someone who's a close fit. Well then why did you why did you bother talking to a candidate who quite obviously wasn't a close fit? This happens a lot. You might think, well, it's good that at least you got the call, but if it was destined not to go anywhere, then what's the point? There should be anyway, it's another discussion. Another company, a bank, he interviewed for Java DevOps engineer, whatever that means. What a title, right? Java DevOps engineer. What does that even mean? Do you want a Java developer, or do you want a DevOps engineer? What on earth is a Java DevOps engineer? Anyway, got past the recruiter. Apparently he aced the tech rounds, in his words. Then he met the manager in the final round, and he got an offer. Another bank, he got past the recruiter, he cleared a tech round, and then suddenly the company, that department, had a hiring freeze, so it went nowhere. Another company, he was given some assessment to do, and at this time he hasn't given that back yet. So yeah, that was 25 companies, and it's not like he got an interview with every single one, but these are the ones I guess that he got at least one interview with. So you can see it's quite a big mix. It's I would say half of those he didn't get past the recruiter, and the other half he did. And even when he did get past, well, whether or not he did or didn't, there's quite often they just determined, well, you're not the right fit for us. And that seemed to happen quite a lot, which is kind of fair enough. It is sort of the point of interviewing, really, that it's quite hard to read a resume, a CV. So I do understand that, but it is wasted time all around. But maybe there's nothing you can do about that. Some of the rejections he got on account of some of the technical things, like Terraform experience. I don't know if he had no Terraform experience whatsoever. I find that hard to believe, because almost everyone does in this industry. But it seemed that it just wasn't enough. I don't know. I think that's almost looking for an excuse to not hire someone, because Terraform is so easy. It really is so easy. Especially if you know programming already. Why would you reject someone who knows programming and they don't have enough experience in Terraform? I mean, anyone can do Terraform. It's really not difficult. So yeah, it's quite a mixed bunch, but this is pretty typical. I would say I've had a similar experience in my several months long search for a job as well. So this is definitely not unordinary. That's why I decided to share this with you, because when I read it I was like, yeah, okay, I knew I wasn't the only one to have this kind of experience, and this helped to confirm that. Let me know how your job search has gone. But yeah, it's kind of not really a warning, but just to let you know, if you didn't know already, if you're now starting to look for a job, be warned, the industry is not like it was 3 years ago when all the money was being printed in the wake of COVID. That was a very different time when people were desperate to hire and to chase new business. Now it's the complete opposite. The talent pool is massive because of all the layoffs, and the number of vacancies is very low because people are kind of freezing investment. So I hope you found that interesting. I know I did. Let me know what you think, and I'll speak to you again soon. Take care. Bye bye. Oh, and I just want to mention one more thing. As I say, that post was from Reddit in the subreddit called SRE. So I can highly recommend the main subreddit is Devops. It's a great one. SRE is much smaller but still also good. Another really good place, but it's more dev orientated rather than DevOps, but still they're tech engineers, is Experienced Devs. DEVS. Experienced with a D on the end, and then Devs. That's really good. Another one is Kubernetes, self-explanatory what that is. And then you got AWS and Azure are also good subject-specific, topic-specific subreddits. So I hope you found those useful, and I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye.